It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. This is the Tennessee Bonus Hour, heard in 760 AM WENO in Nashville, 730 AM KQPN in Memphis. We welcome to our microphones here in studio the original All-Star panelist, Crom Carmichael. Welcome, Crom.
Greetings, kind sir.
Only 2 more days in 2024, mercifully. And then we jump to 2025.
Yes.
I want to start out with this one little clip here, and then we'll get to some other national things about what's going on here in Tennessee.
Okay.
The big push, Governor Bill Lee has an education freedom bill, the Universal School Choice Act, which we support, and he started a campaign. It's a little bit dicey because there are a couple of, maybe a dozen or so, Tennessee Republican legislators in conservative areas who are on the fence. And right now the talk is, will it be 49 that support it, which isn't enough, or will it be 59 that support it, which is enough?
Wait. There's a big difference between 49 and 59.
That's what I'm saying.
What's the minimum number they have to support?
50.
Okay, so it doesn't need to be 59.
Yeah.
It just needs to be 50.
Here is a commercial that's airing, paid for by American Federation of Children, featuring Governor Bill Lee on this.
Freedom is at the core of being a Tennessean. So when it comes to education, more freedom is what our children need to succeed. That means empowering parents with school choice, supporting our teachers, and investing in our public schools. Tennessee can have the best schools and ensure every child gets the education that fits their needs. That's why we need to pass the Education Freedom Act in Tennessee. Go to tneducationfreedom.com.
And that was paid for by American Federation of Children. I'm all in favor of it, but it's going to be a bit of a push. There's not going to be a problem in the Tennessee State Senate.
No.
It'll pass there easily.
No.
But as I said, right now, the whip count is the issue has to do with about a dozen, 10 to 12 Republican legislators from conservative areas, rural areas.
I'm going to push back on your description of them. I'm going to say that there's 10 or 12 Republicans who are rhinos and who are in the pockets of the teachers' unions. That's if you're not going to be for school choice.
Yeah.
Then you are a rhino and you are in the pockets of the teachers' union, and shame on you. The Democrats we know are.
Yeah.
Democrats we know are in the pockets of the teachers' unions. If the Republicans will not support school choice, especially for lower income kids, they're rhinos and they deserve to get beat in the next primary.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I will say it's not just the teachers' unions, though. If you look at these rural counties, it's the superintendent of schools.
Well, that's the teachers' unions.
But no, it's not.
It is, Mike.
It's the organization of school superintendents.
Yeah, and there's teachers' unions.
No, they're a separate group, Crom.
They may be separate, but they're controlled by them.
They're not controlled by them.
We just disagree.
No, they are aligned differently, is what I'm saying. But their interests are a little different than the teachers' unions.
How's it different?
It's different in the sense that they want to maintain the power of the school superintendent.
Yeah,
to control things.
All right. Well, then they achieve their goal the same way the teachers' unions achieve their goal. Therefore, they are allies. They're not different. They're allies. They may be two separate organizations, but their goal is exactly the same.
The other element here, though, Crom, has to do with, and you may have missed this, but I'll bring you up to speed on it. There are a number of school boards in rural areas that have come out in opposition to this.
Of course.
But now remember, the school boards are elected by the populace.
So what? So, Michael, the school boards are in the pockets of the teachers' unions too, because they fund the school board races. I mean, it is just this simple. If you think that we need to have bureaucrats running our schools, as lousy as our results are, and there needs to be no competition, then you are a Democrat in the pocket of the teachers' unions. And if you are a Republican who supports that same thing, then you are a rhino in the pockets of the teachers' unions. And I don't care what else they say, At the end of the day, they're in the pockets of the teacher. They can make all the excuses they want. And this particular bill addressed almost all of the rhinos' objections last time. And any Republican who wants to say, oh, they don't, I'll say it right to their face. They ought to be ashamed of themselves.
So here's the good news: we're going to get many of these 10 or 12 on the fence in here.
Good.
And so you can say,
I hope I'm here.
You can,
and I'll say it, and I'll say it right to their face.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, right to their face. It's despicable. It is despicable. As lousy as our schools are, as behind as our children get, for Republicans, I can understand Democrats doing it because the government employee unions, and this is what, we're going to be talking about this later because you sent me the clip from John Solomon.
Yeah.
About the battle between Trump and the federal employees. That's who owns the Democrat Party, is the government employee unions nationwide, federal, state, and local. And it's $6 billion a year. And I will promise you that these Republicans who are opposing school choice are in the pockets of the teachers' unions. Either that or they fear the principal.
They fear.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, then
fear.
that's and then they don't have any guts. And so then they ought to be Democrats too.
Hey,
there's no more important issue in this legislative session than school choice.
I agree completely.
Yes.
So we'll see how it all plays out. And it's going to be.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, we got the next 30,
Yes,
33
Merry Christmas
days.
to you too.
This is why we bring Crom in, for the spice, the spiciness. Crom, if we're going to, I want to shift gears here on a topic of national interest. Jimmy Carter passed away at the age of 100.
Yes, he did.
And I, in the earlier hours, skewered him as a bad president and a bad ex-president. And I said something for which I think I need to make a correction.
Okay.
I said he only accomplished one good thing, which was the Camp David Accords, peace between Egypt and Israel. But you correctly pointed out that actually he accomplished two good things. Tell us about the second good thing he did.
Well, the second good thing is actually a series of good things, all falling under the category of deregulation. Jimmy Carter was responsible for deregulating the airlines, or at least they were deregulated
by Alfred Kahn, when there used to be a civil aeronautics board.
Well, he was actually even above that level because they also deregulated trucking. Yeah, and let me explain how those two, because most people who are not my age, and I think
you're a young man.
Well, I'm going to say
young at heart.
I'm going to say that people who were born, well, gosh, it's pretty interesting. People born in 1960 would probably maybe have some walking around memory of what the regulations were like. But if they don't, then here's what they were.
Yeah.
If you were an airline, the regulations, if a new airline wanted to start, it was almost impossible, because for a new airline to start, it had to get permission from the federal government to fly from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And if they applied for that, the airline that currently had the rights to fly from point A to point B could make the argument that the flights that they had weren't full, and so therefore that route was being serviced.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine, but that's what it was.
That's how it was. That's how it was. And so consequently, and by the way, the airlines were very, very heavily unionized. And so when the unions would ask...
We all remember what happened to the heavily unionized Eastern Airlines.
Yes.
It has been out of business for like 30 years.
Yes, and there are others. But the point I'm making is that in a heavily unionized industry that is controlled by the federal government, the unions can demand more money. And what do the companies do? They just simply raise ticket prices because there was no competition.
So a second good thing Jimmy Carter did.
Yes, was deregulation, and that was huge.
I agree.
That was a big thing. And
thank you for bringing that up.
What's interesting is he was so modest in his after he wasn't president. He was so modest he never brought up that great accomplishment.
Which he should have.
Yes.
We'll be back with more after this.
I think so.
Hi folks, John Fredericks here for Freedom Alliance. Veterans are still struggling with the wounds of war. They came home with injuries that changed them forever. The flag-burning troublemakers in our streets remind me how fortunate we are to have patriots who served and fought, sacrificed, and never complained. We need to support them through organizations like the Freedom Alliance. It's Military Appreciation Month and time to support those who serve. Freedom Alliance is caring for combat veterans and military families. Combat veterans fought in the worst, most dangerous places on earth. Freedom Alliance takes them to nature's most relaxing locations so they can heal. Freedom Alliance gives injured troops mortgage-free homes, new cars, and all-terrain wheelchairs. For wounded vets, there's nothing like the stability of your own home, the reinsurance of a reliable vehicle, or the independence of a wheelchair that navigates snow, ice, beach, pasture, or most any terrain. Let's fight for those who fought for us. Go to freedomalliance.org/Godzilla and make a monthly gift that will improve the life of a military hero. That's freedomalliance.org/Godzilla. Make a contribution today.
If you're like me, most moms find it difficult to prioritize self-care. Hi, it's Colleen, Program Director at the John Fredericks Media Network. With the demands of programming 13 radio stations, it's easy to forget about the things I should do for myself daily. And that's why I started with our company's Women's Challenge with Native Path Collagen Peptides. It's affordable and convenient care in just one scoop a day. There are so many incredible health benefits like bone and joint support, metabolism booster, and hair, skin, and nail improvement. I like to take a moment each day to prioritize myself and indulge in the health-boosting benefits of Native Path Collagen Peptides. I love mixing it up with all the different smoothie recipes, too. Learn more about Native Path Collagen Peptides and read 7 important reasons why you should be taking collagen peptides at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Prioritize your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
Target.com. Target.com is an online e-commerce tire retailer. We are here to serve the American public with the best possible customer service, the best pricing, and we make it extremely easy. We have many name brands and a lot of low-cost tires. The price is right, and it's easy. You go online to Target.com, Tireget.com, Target.com. You go there, you put your zip code in, all the inventory displays right in front of you. You can call in for help if you want to. We'll help you get the tire that you need. But we will take the tires you buy and at no extra charge deliver them to the dealer right by your house where they will be installed at the market price. It's easy. The best price, the best service. Great people to deal with. Thank you for going to Target.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Carmichael Crum. I'm going to jump into this story about federal employee unions in a second, but we need a little bit of palate cleanser here.
Okay. A little sorbet here.
Yeah, a little sorbet.
Yeah.
A gender studies professor at the University of Iowa went on local Des Moines television to whine and complain because the University of Iowa is shutting down the gender studies department.
Okay.
I love those stories.
Well, there's what we're gonna. And by the way, that story is related to the story we're about to talk about.
Well, you will tie them together.
Yeah. Well, okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
So our buddy John Solomon at Just the News and our friends at the Center Square published a story yesterday that I said, I just have to talk to Crum about this. And we have to talk about it on the air. I'll read the headline,
Okay.
read the story, and get your reaction because I don't think this will surprise you. Headline, Epic Standoff. Trump to battle federal employee unions as he seeks to shrink government. Trump has named billionaire entrepreneurs Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to lead the new Department of Government Efficiencies effort, aiming to cut $2 trillion in federal spending. Here's the story. President-elect Trump, this is by Casey Harper. President-elect Donald Trump, has pledged to drastically cut government and clean out inefficiencies, but he faces an entrenched power in Washington, D.C. that may throw a wrench in his plans federal government public employee unions. Quote, for President-elect Trump to succeed at making the federal bureaucracy more efficient and accountable to the American people, he'll have to once again do battle with federal unions, end quote. Max Nelson, a labor policy expert at the Freedom Foundation, said, basically, firing federal workers is notoriously rare and difficult, but Vivek Ramaswamy has publicly said that mass indiscriminate firings may allow for circumventing the usual bureaucratic holdups for firing a federal employee. Quote, this is back to this expert at the, this labor expert who said, quote, government unions are hands down the single most significant defenders of the administrative state. Their interests are always served by bigger, more expensive, less accountable government, and their partisan allegiance to the radical left leads them to both overtly and covertly undermine conservative policy changes across the federal government.
Wait. Were you just quoting me? I'm sorry. Were you quoting me or somebody else?
That somebody else obviously listens. Max
I
Nelson.
Don't say, he probably has had those opinions before, but he is exactly.
Max Nelson at the Freedom Foundation. Yeah. Just as President Trump listens to this program.
Yeah, Max Nelson does too.
Max Nelson does too.
We pat ourselves on the back.
Well, for good reason.
Yeah, for good reason. Now let me say this. What is the quickest way for Trump, along with Republican support, to dramatically cut the size of the federal government? What's the quickest way? And there is one.
Tell me.
The budget that was just passed runs out at around the 20th of March.
Mm-hmm.
If Congress cuts the budget for the rest of the year, or if Trump vetoes any budget that isn't cut dramatically, if there's not money there, guess what? Layoffs will ensue. And the government employees can do nothing about that. That's what elections are about. And these government employee unions, they weren't elected. And they would, and if Congress does not appropriate the money to pay the departments, then the departments will have to reduce in size.
I love that idea.
Well, I mean, it's just this is how our system works. The difference is that Republicans have never done it. Now, I'm not saying they will. It is the battle, but by the way, that is
Let me add this,
please.
Trump has never done it either.
That is true.
So this is going to be interesting.
That is true. But Trump couldn't do it except during his first 2 years. He couldn't do it his last 2 years because he didn't control the House. I think he did control the Senate, but he didn't control the House.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Now he controls the House. Now that doesn't mean that the Republicans in the House will all do it, but what he can do this time around, because what he ran on this time is slashing the size of the regulatory state. Last time he ran on draining the swamp, which is kind of a euphemism, okay, a slogan.
Euphemism.
Slogan, yes.
Is that the word of the
day? I can't spell that, no. But that's why I changed it to slogan, a word I can spell. So even under pressure. So at any rate, what Trump can do now, since he did that, and since he is in a much more powerful position,
he is.
He can veto the budget in March if he doesn't get his way. And then that shuts down the government. Now, by the way, if government is shut down, Social Security payments still go out.
Yeah.
Military is still funded.
See,
the regulatory state goes to zero.
See, I love that idea. In fact, and also let's just think this through for a moment. So the current funding ends March 20th, and there's always this last minute push to jam in 5,000 pages of pork. And because if you don't, the government will, quote, shut down. The government never shuts down in that sense. It goes to like a 70% operation. And Social Security checks go out and all other activities happen. But what's interesting is the Republicans are always afraid to death that they'll be blamed. Here's the thing, and then lose electorally. But in March of 2025, they don't have to worry about an election until November of 26, right? And so people forget these things very quickly.
And two other things.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know if it's two,
Yeah.
but definitely one. And that is that you said correctly that in the past, Republicans have been scared they would be blamed because the media was monolithic.
Ah, good point.
Okay, so now the media, the mainstream media, has lost their own credibility. They still are being dishonest.
And they're doing the same thing, except people's eyes are glazing over. They're saying, "Oh my God!"
Well, they're not watching them anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, in other words, and so Elon Musk has more power than the entire. He has more visibility than the entire legacy media, and so consequently, a Republican who doesn't go along actually now has something to fear. Okay, and so what I'm saying is that now this doesn't mean what I would like to see happen will happen. Doesn't mean that.
I know,
but we're talking about the method, because yes, it'll be an epic battle, but government employee unions and government employees were not elected.
So Crom,
and their pay depends on appropriations.
So Crom, here's the thing: if you look at what Elon Musk has done, he goes into a business and he says, "Okay, what did you do this week?" Right? And if the answer is hubba, nothing, whoosh, gone. He went into Twitter and fired basically 80% of the people. Twitter's running just fine. And I think that, to me, this whole shutdown thing would be fabulous in this sense. You go in and you just lay off. I mean, if we laid off 80% of the workers in the Department of Commerce or the Department of Agriculture, or most other 99.8% of the employees of the Department of Education, nothing bad would happen.
No.
In fact, good stuff would happen.
Right.
I'm really
So what I'm saying
warm
is
into this.
That's the way. I mean, that is the way to accomplish it. That is the way to accomplish it. And
But-
by the way, if you control the administration, and the other thing, if you control the administration, then you can make sure that the Social Security checks still go out, that Medicare is still paid for,
Right.
That the entitlement programs. Now, let me say this: I think there's a lot of fraud and abuse and waste
Sure.
in those programs, but the regulatory state is where the axe needs to fall first, and there it needs to fall where the cuts are enormous. And their personnel, and then you tell the personnel who's remaining, I need you to tell me what priorities you think are most important, and then we're going to, by executive order, I'm going to tell you not to do anything else. Let's focus on the important. That's what one of the things Elon Musk does. He has 6 companies. He spends a day with each company. He focuses on the single biggest problem when he's with each company. He said, "What is your biggest problem?" And that's what he focuses on, and he does that one. And the problems are different, hopefully, when he comes back. But what the regulatory state needs to do is it needs to, for example, this thing you were talking about with Tom Pappert.
Yeah.
That'll take tens of thousands of people at the
FinCEN in the Department of Treasury.
Yeah, it'll take tens of thousands of people to manage that. And to mismanage that.
Right.
And then it will take tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people in the private sector to fill out the forms.
Yeah.
This accomplishes nothing economically. Nothing.
Zero zip nada.
And so these jobs need to be cut. And
you will get no disagreement from me. Now, Crom, when we come back, blue states are going further left in a very negative way. And you have an example of that in a way that it's almost impossible to believe. And yet, this blue state governor, hardcore leftist, is trying.
We'll see.
We'll be back with more after this. say a few words about our friends at the Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road. The Nashville Pizza Company in Franklin reminds us that the current economic times have been tough on many families in our area, and many are finding it hard to make ends meet. Your donations of clothing or canned goods can make a difference for a family in need. During this holiday season, give from the heart so others can have a new start. That's courtesy of our friends at Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road in Franklin. They are always working to keep our community moving in a positive direction.
My fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time, at D.T. McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it. Believe me.
Impersonator not endorsed.
This summer,
by Donald
never
Trump.
leave pets in vehicles while running errands. Even with windows cracked, 80 degrees can shoot up to 120 degrees, causing heat stroke, dehydration, and even death. So keep pets hydrated, shaded in cool areas, or just leave them at home. That's from Kathy, Candy, and the staff at Mutts Cuts Grooming, the people with warm hearts for those with cold noses. For your pet's grooming needs, call 931-645-9220. That's 931-645-9220 for Mutts Cuts Grooming in Clarksville, Tennessee at 1479 Tiny Town Road.
Hey there, this is Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of The Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. In studio, original All-Star panelist Carmichael. Crom, I am so thankful that I live in the great state of Tennessee.
Me too.
Isn't it the greatest state? I think it's the greatest state in the union. No state income tax. Nice people.
It certainly is a great state.
It's a great state.
You know, when you say that, it reminds, just a little aside here, it reminds me of this movie where Hugh Grant played this very bad boss.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking to an employee, and the employee exploded and said, "You're the most arrogant boss in the entire world." And his response was, "Well, I'm sorry. You don't know every boss in the world." And so I don't know.
I know every state.
I don't know if we're the greatest state, but we are a great state. Okay. I'll take your word for it.
I will say that.
Yeah.
But what's interesting now, Tennessee, American individualism, constitutional conservatives on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump won the election. We control the House. We control the Senate. The Republicans
And we must do things.
Yeah. But what's interesting about that is if you look at how the Democrat Party is responding,
mm-hmm.
I will say they are doubling down
mm-hmm.
on the bad leftist ideas
mm-hmm.
of the past
mm-hmm.
everywhere.
Yep. And that's because they can. As long as they have $6 billion a year from government employee union dues to support their cause, as long as they have that, think of it as a military campaign. What is the one thing that you try to do to your opponent in a military campaign? you try to wreck their supply lines and wreck their ammo depots. Okay, so that they don't have this. But if they have constant supplies and constant ammo, then they can fight indefinitely. And the Democrat Party is supported by government employee unions to the tune of billions of dollars a year.
And we're talking
not
just
each election.
Not just about the federal level.
No, at all
at
levels.
The state level.
Federal, state, and local.
And so you look at these blue states that are, financial wrecks, that are economic wrecks. California at the top. They're doubling down on this leftist stuff. And the most recent example is my state, which I left many years ago, not because necessarily I saw the path it was going down, but I could kind of feel it moved into leftism. And that is the state of New York.
Yeah. Well, you left it a long time ago.
I know.
It's been heading left since you left, and it is now perhaps it's certainly in the top 3 of states. But Kathy Hochul is running out of money. Here's something that's interesting, and I didn't know this until I read the story. The COVID money that Biden and the Democrats passed right when he got into office, that money has still not completely been spent.
Yeah.
It's been appropriated, but it's not completely been spent. And so COVID money has been going to these blue states in the tens of billions of dollars for 3 years. That money, the appropriated money is now about to run out. And at that point, states like New York and California will lose tens of billions of dollars that they've been getting every year that they now won't get. And so what Kathy Hochul is trying to do is she's trying to pass a tax on energy companies to make them pay the state of New York $75 billion. Okay? And by the way, that's...
For what harm did they cause the state of New York?
She's trying to say because of climate change
my
and all of these other effects on her state. But she doesn't want to tax them directly inside the state. She's trying to make them pay from money that they earn outside of the state of New York. So she's trying to tax people here in Tennessee.
Hold on just a moment. When I read this, I think hasn't she signed this into law?
Yeah.
So it's not a proposal.
No, I didn't say that.
It's a law, right?
I said what she's trying to do. Okay? And when I say trying, passing the law is she will be sued by every other state in the country.
So explain what the law is that she signed.
Okay, well, I'll read as much as I can. Governor Hochul on Thursday signed legislation. I'm quoting from a Wall Street Journal article titled, "New York will now tax America for climate change." Governor Kathy Hochul on Thursday signed legislation that will require fossil fuel producers to pay $75 billion to supposedly help the state adapt to climate change. Quote, "This landmark legislation shifts the cost of climate adaptation from everyday New Yorkers to fossil fuel companies most responsible for the pollution."
Okay. Let me just stop for a moment.
Okay.
What are the costs of climate change adaptation?
I don't care. That's irrelevant to me.
There are none.
Well, that's irrelevant to me. What the main point of this is she's trying to make these companies take profits that they make off of or either increase their prices on people who don't live in New York and then give the money to the state of New York to help fund their general budget.
It's their general budget. That's their funding. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's all it is to try to help them fund their general budget.
By the way, just so you know.
And by the way.
Wait.
Yes.
New York State, Crom, has very high state income taxes.
Very high. They can't raise them any higher.
Yeah.
And so that's her problem. And so she's got this COVID money that's been coming in for the tens of billions of dollars to sustain all these government employees and all these bureaucracies and all these expenses. That money's now drying up. So she has to replace it either by tax increases on the people of New York, or she's now trying to figure out how to tax people from the rest of the country to support New York.
So this sounds like it's not going to be very well received by any courts.
I can't imagine that it will be. Although the local federal judge in New York might say it's legal, but I don't believe the Supreme Court of the United States will say it's legal.
So what they're saying is profits from oil companies made.
No, it's not even profits.
Yes,
It's not even profits.
Revenue. It's whatever.
I don't care how you get the money.
Yeah.
You pay me $75 billion. But don't tax the people here in New York to get that $75 billion. You go get it someplace else. That's what the law is essentially saying.
They must have said somewhere in this law, they must document this $75 billion in extra climate change adaptation expenses, don't you think?
No. I'll guarantee you that's not in the law. I've not read the law.
Well, I'm only reading the law.
No. I'm reading the article. It doesn't matter.
Well, it does matter because
it doesn't.
No. Let me explain why it does matter.
Sure.
Because when it gets to the courts, Crom, the courts are going to say, now, what's this for? They're going to have to demonstrate some level of injury.
No, they're not, Michael. That's the point.
Yeah, they will.
No, okay. You and I are completely on the different pages on what.
I'm just telling you how the courts are going to look at it.
I know you've been to night school, but I did. I got my law degree at Holiday Inn Express, and what the courts are going to look at is they're going to say a state does not have the right to tax people from other states.
Well, that's another angle that they'll take.
No, that'll be what the plaintiffs argue is you have no right to tell the oil companies to tax me.
So what's the next step going to be in this?
Somebody will now sue because every other state in the country is now damaged.
So is she sending a bill to Exxon and?
Yes.
Did she send the invoice to them?
No, I mean that's what she'll be doing, and so and the oil companies may sue, but the other states will certainly sue, and so I mean there are plenty. Let me say this: there are plenty of people who will be aggrieved. Lots of different ones.
I wonder if our good friend, the Attorney General of the state of Tennessee, Jonathan Scametti, will sue.
He very well might.
We'll have to ask him next time he's in here.
It's a great question, because here's where you and I are differing. The courts are not going to say, well, is this money that you really need? That's not what they're going to be asking. They're going to say, what right do you have in New York to tax anybody in any other state, no matter what your need?
Well, they're going to ask what the right is, but they're going to have to establish that there are damages. That's going to be an element of law.
The damages, you mean for the plaintiffs?
That they're going to have to the defendant in this case, New York State, is going to have to set forward their claim that the conduct of the oil companies have caused damage to the state of New York to the tune of $75 million.
Okay.
$75 billion.
But that's not okay. Here's where
I'm just explaining to you how the court's going to look at it.
Here's how I'm disagreeing. No, here's why I'm disagreeing with you. Is that even if the state of New York makes that argument, the question is, how can the state of New York require the other 49 states pay them for the damages?
Well, it's not technically, though, Crom. I'm just telling you how it's going to be looked at by the courts.
Okay.
I'm just saying the first thing they're going to look at is this is a claim of damages. And so what are the damages? They're going to have to establish that first. Then they'll get to the question of, and they're going to say, the other element of this is it's actually they're taxing the oil companies or these fossil fuel companies for this alleged damage. Now, but the point is, okay, my argument would be, okay, if New York is doing this, why won't all the other blue states do the same thing? They will. I'm just telling you. You're going to see Gavin Newsom do it.
That's why the core issue is what I said, not what you're saying, with all due respect. The core issue is, how does New York, under our Constitution, have the right to make citizens from other states pay for their general fund? Period. That'll be the ultimate deciding question. And if the Supreme Court rules that New York doesn't have that authority under our Constitution, then California won't either. But if the Supreme Court were to rule that it does, then every state in the country will come up with damages for all kinds of different things to make other states pay for them. And then that would be utter chaos. But this is what, by the way, if you had 9 Ketanji Brown Jacksons on the Supreme Court, or Sotomayor's, or Elena Kagan,
all three of them would side with New York no matter what.
Well, we'll see. I hope we have a chance to find out, because this is a monumental overreach by a single state.
Let me ask you this. Why do leftist leaders, when they see the march of history, the movement of history in the other direction. Why are they doubling down on these old ideas? Why do you think?
Because they're supported by the people who want the money, the government employee unions. This is really not hard. In New York, hold on just a second. I had it right here. Oh gosh, the people who work on here it is right here. A telephone maintainer for New York's Metropolitan Transportation Authority earns $42.24 an hour and gets a Cadillac health care plan.
And by the way, just so you know.
So that's another $25,000.
Just so you know, the other part about this is New York State employee unions everywhere get huge benefits. Case in point, teachers unions in New York State have golden Cadillac retirements. And it's all funded by the taxpayers, which is part of the problem here. Because the old saying is, what's that? The Herb Stein, remember him, the economist for
Sure, yeah.
Remember he said, a system that can't go on forever won't go on forever.
Well,
and this is an example of why Kathy Hochul is trying to get $75 billion out of the fossil
from us.
fuel companies.
No, she's getting it from us, Michael, not the fossil fuel companies.
Well,
they are the extractors. They are the extractors.
The immediate is the fossil fuel companies. Ultimately, it would be paid for by consumers. We'll have more when we get back. Crom, guess what time it's going to be?
News potpourri.
You bet. Back after this.
Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea, a supplement to help you have a healthier heart and stronger cardiovascular system. At Soul Tea, we regularly get emails from our customers telling us how Soul Tea has helped them. Like this one from Kelly. Hello, I'm 58 years old and have had high cholesterol for years. I wanted to stay away from prescription drugs. My husband and I have been using Soul Tea for about 13 months. My results have been amazing. My cholesterol levels went from 291 to 129. I am so impressed with Soul Tea and want to thank you. Now, in my own case, my bad cholesterol dropped from 130 to 89, and that was 20 years ago. I'm 75 years old and I take 0 prescription drugs. To get a great deal on Soul Tea, please go to GodzillaHeart.com, and when you check out, use the code Godzilla to get our best deal, which is 50% off your first shipment and then 3 bottles for the price of 2 thereafter. You don't have to live with a broken heart.
Do you suffer from
Try
declining
Soul Tea
bone and
today.
joint health? Hi, it's Tina with the John Fredericks Media Network. And when I heard about our company's Women's Challenge, I jumped on the opportunity to test this amazing supplement that's already restoring my bone density, soothing my joint pain, and helping me regain lost mobility. I've experienced so many benefits in such a short time with Native Path Collagen Peptides because they support my bones and joints, boost my metabolism, and unleash the most radiant skin and hair since my 20s. In just 2 weeks, my knee stiffness is gone, and I'm already hitting the gym more aggressively. And I get so many compliments on my glowy skin and shiny hair. Native Path Collagen Peptides are so easy to take. They're tasteless, odorless, and mix great with my morning coffee. Read thousands of 5-star reviews at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Level up your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today. And get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's HealthyCell.com. Code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Crom, it's that time of day again. It's time for News Potpourri.
Yes, Michael. It's that time of the program for little tidbits that merit the attention of our audience, but not an entire segment and have a touch of
irony.
Yes. Michael, you'll like this one. Headline from Town Hall. If Joe Biden thinks he could have beaten Trump. Now let me say this. Let me tell you what this is about. Listen, this is
what's it about?
This is the Democrats getting it set up so that Biden can run for president in 2028 because he's only served 4 years. So they want to try to run him again because they like the fact that they have somebody in the White House who's so completely out of it that they can do whatever they want to. So that's what that goal is.
Let me say this, Crom. He would not have beaten Trump. It's hard to see if he would have done that much worse than Kamala Harris.
I'm only having fun about what the goal is so that he can run in 2028, claiming I could have beaten Trump and I'll beat him next time. so anyway.
Hey, I got a local one for
you. All right, please. Yes.
The Beacon Center has filed its first ever class action lawsuit against the city of Nashville.
Okay.
Today, the Beacon Center filed its first ever class action lawsuit against Nashville, challenging its unfair and extortionate stormwater capacity fees. Nashville is forcing homeowners who want to improve their property or build a new property to pay for public infrastructure.
You know, now that's interesting. What you said, two things there. One is for new construction, which I kind of understand that to some extent. But you said if they want to improve their property.
Yeah.
So I guess if they just want to add a room, they're going to have to pay for stormwater fees to get the permit to do that. That's. Let me say this: that would be the weakness for Metro in that suit, is trying to get people who are just simply adding a room to.
They're just trying to get more money out of it.
It just will. Yeah, I mean, I can understand it for new construction, for new subdivisions and things like this. I can kind of understand that. But the piece that you added is interesting. This is one. America Legal First has been engaged in a prolonged legal. This is from
America First Legal.
America First Legal. Is that what I said?
Well, America First Legal, they're very good guys.
Yes.
They actually represent me.
Oh, okay.
And us.
All right.
In our lawsuit against this Metro Nashville.
All right. Well,
to get the Covenant Killer Manifesto.
Okay. Well, they've been engaged in a prolonged legal fight with the National Archives to get access to the undisclosed evidence regarding Biden. And so they have either the National Archives recognizing Trump's victory means that they better comply, or they'll lose their jobs. So they've released information. The House has released records showing $27 million in payments from foreign sources to Hunter Biden. $27 million. And also a picture of Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, and the Chinese.
You know,
this is
in 2013, by the way.
Yeah, I know. While he was vice president.
Asterisk. You know, his pardon for his son began January 1st, 2014.
Ooh.
That trip to China, and I remember I was writing about this at Breitbart. That trip to China was in 2013.
Okay.
They flew on Air Force Two.
Okay.
Hunter was on Air Force Two, and he stepped off and met with all of the Chinese bigwigs that he later did business with.
I'm going to say that before Biden issued that pardon, they checked on the statute of limitations. I'm gonna bet they did.
You're probably right.
And so if they were concerned about that, they would have backed it up further. This one is interesting, Michael, because Elton John. First of all, I love his music.
Rocket Man.
And he was called Rocket Man because he was addicted to drugs. And he has come out, Michael. He is absolutely against the sale of marijuana. He said, marijuana is addictive. I know. I was addicted, and I was addicted to the weaker marijuana, which led me to other drugs. And so he is coming out and encouraging. He's saying, look, this is the legalization of marijuana is a terrible thing. And I just think that's really interesting that the guy in the entertainment industry is willing to kind of cut ties. That's about the second or third time that he has made comments that I said, that's really interesting. And so I was pleased to see that. This is an interesting headline, Michael, from Town Hall. Why residents in Seattle are refusing tips.
I saw it.
To pay tips.
I saw the headline.
Yeah.
What's the why?
Well,
What's
the reason is the city of Seattle has now raised the minimum wage to over $20 an hour. And so people who go to restaurants now are saying, well, if the increase in the price of my food is to pay for the increase in the minimum wage, I'm not going to leave a tip. And so if Trump gets his legislation of no taxes on tips, then the left-leaning cities and states that have raised the minimum wage are going to be hurting the very people that they claim that they want to help.
Here's another one. In case you missed it, earlier today, just 2 minutes after Tim Burchett on this program said that he thought Donald Trump would endorse Mike Johnson for Speaker, Donald Trump, in fact, endorsed Mike Johnson for Speaker.
Well,
demonstrating, of course, that Donald Trump listens to this program every day.
That falls under the "if you say so." Okay, this one is interesting from the Western Journal. There's a new drug. First of all, fentanyl is about 100 times more potent than morphine. 100 times. There's now a new drug that is now. Last year, 70% of all deaths were attributed to the illegally manufactured fentanyls. One of them is called carfentanil, which is 100 times more potent than fentanyl. 100 times more potent than fentanyl. And so we have got to get control of.
I got one last one for you.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I know this will shock you.
Oh, please shock me.
Joe Biden's advisors,
Yes.
who are running the country right now, whoever they may be,
Yep.
Have announced that they are sending another, you fill in the blank. How much are they sending to Ukraine? Extra.
$40 billion.
$3.4 billion. That's
Okay.
extra
Jeez.
today. I mean, is that beyond crazy?
No, where the money's being funneled
guess
back.
what,
Who
Trump?
the money being funneled back to.
The next time you are here in this studio, it will be 2025.
Yes, it will.
Are you looking forward to his 2025 as much as I am?
Yeah, I certainly am.
And on that happy note,
All right.
Crom, thanks for joining us today.
You betcha.
Rob Carson is up next. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock Central Time. I hope you have a great day. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. Go to TennesseeStar.com for all our stories. This is Michael Patrick Leahy. I want to say a word about my good friend Dustin Damon. Dustin is the best handyman in Middle Tennessee. Call Dustin today at 724-683-4400. That's 724-683-4400 if you have a job around the house that you just haven't gotten around to. If you're busy like me, you just may not have the time to fix that broken mailbox, repair the back porch, or get that old light fixture back to working properly. Do what I did. Call Dustin Damon today at 724-683-4400, and he will bring his truck and tools to your house and get that job done lickety-split. Dustin's main service area is Williamson County and the southern part of Davidson County. So call Dustin Damon, the best handyman in Middle Tennessee today, at 724-683-4400. Tell him you heard about him on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. The Chief Team reminds listeners here that more and more veterans will be returning home over the next few years, and many are local. These heroes have elite military training and valuable professional skills, but they also need jobs too. That's why the Chief Team is encouraging all local businesses. Let's make it the year we hire smart and hire veterans. That's from the Chief Team, where they say service isn't just a courtesy, it's a commitment. For more information, call 931-444-3572. That's 931-444-3572 for the Chief Team in Clarksville.
The Black preaching tradition is deeply connected to gospel music.
PBS presents a new series hosted by Henry Louis Gates Jr., Gospel.
Our singers preach and our preachers sing.
Gospel is a prayer. It is our heart's cry to God in lyrics and song.
You feel it deep down in your soul.
Gospel. Streaming now on the PBS app.